Mhm.
Hello. Let me turn my. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm very tan. I'm in Arizona.
Okay. It sounds nice.
Are you in Los Angeles?
I'm actually in Lompoc. That's where I'm originally from, is Lompoc.
Through there a few times. I'm originally from Los Angeles myself, living in the Bay Area the past 15 years, and now I'm in Arizona with family and just waiting things out and seeing how it all plays out. How's it been going for you?
Um, well, the first part of quarantine, I was in Orange County because that's where my girlfriend is currently living right now, and that was a bit strange to kind of be there and with all of that kind of chaos. And then I came to Lompoc after I think it was like May. So I've been gone for like 2 months, and Lompoc's a pretty small town, and it was like a complete like turn of how people were like. I mean, people are still taking it seriously and masks and stuff like that, but it's a relatively small town, so it's a little bit different kind of vibe with the virus going around than it is being in like a big city like LA or like Orange County or something like that.
Glad you could join. This is actually my first ever Instagram live interview.
Okay. Mine too. So,
It's before quarantine, it was actually very old fashioned. We would actually do interviews live in the studio at Mutiny Radio in the Mission District in San Francisco. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
no, oh no, I never know.
So it's kind of like, well, now I'm finally upgrading to the 21st century.
Totally.
Yeah. So what have you guys been working on the past couple months? Anything new? I know that you guys just released a single, Watch It Fall. I just watched the video. It was awesome.
Thank you. Um, yeah, we kind of had, I'm sure, like every other band, tw you know, 2020 was going to be like a year where we were going to release a bunch of music and play a bunch of shows, and it's an old band, but the lineup is still brand new, or this current lineup is still brand new. So we were still a new band in terms of like being in LA and stuff like that, and so we were just going to play a bunch of shows, release a bunch of singles. Obviously, when COVID happened, we couldn't do any of that. Um, so we just, in the beginning of the pandemic, we all just kind of thought that let's just write music, and because it's kind of all we could do. And so we just have a Google Drive where all of us just have a folder, and someone will put in either like a guitar part or it's a whole song or half a song. It doesn't really matter what it is. And yeah, I think since I don't even know how long quarantine or it's been anymore, but since then we've had like 30 plus ideas and 10 songs kind of like finished, but we can't really practice, but they're just like they're finished and ready to go. So we've just been kind of writing on it, and then with the release, we just have been obviously we're all friends, so we talk and just kind of slowly but surely getting all that ready to go. So
Awesome. Everything is definitely like a slower pace, right? Like
yeah,
I'm just like, this is kind of like it was growing up before social media.
yeah. I mean, at least there was no pandemic going on, but I'm enjoying the break of it and everything being so slow because at times, like you just said, with social media, things can move so fast that
Hmm.
you kind of can get lost in something and you don't really know what's going on. There's like all these apps and this and that. So with everything kind of happening, it's been a nice little bit, especially as an artist. Um, as crazy as it is to say, it is hard to sit down sometimes and just write a song if you're playing shows and practicing and you're just in the hustle of like your life not being in a band. So the fact that all this has happened has given us just time to just literally just focus on ourselves and music. So it's been quite nice.
TikTok yet?
What was that?
Have you tried, I think it's called TikTok?
Oh, I don't have a TikTok, but I mean, I have a TikTok, but I don't really make TikToks. I don't think I could. I understand it, but I could never bring myself to make a TikTok.
Like, I'm just learning the basics with Instagram, so
Yeah, TikTok is
one
it's a lot.
one step at a time, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So it sounds like you worked with Jonathan DeBon recently, or you've had an ongoing relationship with
Yeah,
him.
I've been working with him since 2015 when I first met him.
Hmm. And how has that been working with him on and off the past couple of years?
It's been great. It was kind of like boot camp in terms of like being in a band and like being a musician, just because he knows so much and he's done so much in the recording studio, and so he knows all these tricks and tips that he's just kind of he didn't really right away. I knew he knew so much, but he didn't tell me everything in the very beginning. I think probably because he didn't want to overload my brain. So he just kind of sprinkled in some stuff here or there. And now that it's been 5 years working with him, yeah, he's kind of morphed into like a really good friend, and he's really close. And
That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
it's been really easy recording with him because he knows how I'm gonna write, and I know how he's gonna record. So it's this nice little. There's really no kind of talk of what it's gonna be. It just kind of happens naturally.
You say are some of your biggest influences musically?
Kind of all over the place. When I was a kid, I really loved the Spice Girls. Yeah, I loved the Spice Girls, and I loved Destiny's Child, and pretty much anything that was on TRL, and that kind of whole pop punk phase of like Green Day and Blink-182 and Complete One. And but it was when I got into high school was when bands like The Strokes and Arctic Monkeys and like Franz Ferdinand, that kind of whole explosion of music was happening. So the older I got, I kind of gravitated more towards like the indie rock kind of newer psychedelic sound.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's just a mix of like I just love pop music and then rock music, and it's kind of been great now to see the two are so hand in hand of like that's such a genre of itself now. Like rock music and pop music aren't really these two separate things. But, melded into one.
It's always more fun when it's a mixture of different things.
Yeah, totally. That's
And
kinda,
so, have you guys played San Francisco in the past? I'm assuming.
um, not with the new lineup. With the old lineup, oh god, we played a place called I think it was called the Hatch.
That sounds familiar.
We played there. We played at the Metro. That's like a punk venue, yeah?
Chicago.
Yeah. Well, and then the big one that we played Hotel Utah once, which that was
That
probably one of my more favorite shows that we ever had ever done with the old lineup.
that's a good venue.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I I hope it's still around. It was like one of the oldest like venues slash hotels I think in San Francisco.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, I mean, kind of walking in, I didn't realize that it was a bit confusing because you're just kind of you're so separated from like the bar. So it's kind of nice actually that you were just felt so removed from everything else.
It's like when you step in, it feels like you're going back in time, like to
Yeah, totally.
Westworld. My friend got married a few months ago, right before the pandemic, and I was inspired by the TV show and the film, I guess you could say, Westworld. So I just literally, that's what I did all day long. Just say different lines from the TV show, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a fan, but the new season was pretty wild.
I've heard people talk about it, but I haven't quite gotten to that in the quarantine to watch it yet. So
I think it's been a few seasons now, like 3 or 4 seasons. So definitely worth checking out for
yeah.
sure. Where do you see the band going in the next couple years? Like, say, for instance, quarantine ends soon, which I'd like to think it would, but
In the next couple of years, if the virus just kind of goes away tomorrow, it would be great to just continue to kind of do what we're doing right now, is just release music, continue the writing process, and eventually get into the studio and kind of hash out these new songs, whether it be, we record 5 songs, 10 songs, whatever it might be. And then to just, I think every band is just kind of itching to really play. So just play as many shows as possible in any kind of area. I'll play anywhere now. I mean, I really, again, like everybody else, really, really miss it. So, um, yeah, just to really kind of hit it hard and kind of continue and make up for the lost time.
yeah, gosh, there were so many good shows. Even like back in March when it started,
Yeah,
it was like, oh, it's a new year and new releases coming out, that sort of thing, and then voila.
yeah. Um, we had a couple that we had to cancel, obviously, but we had some ones that we were really, really excited for. And we also, the song was going to originally be released in March, April.
Hmm.
That was when we were really like, that was like our plan. I was like, okay, let's release it then. And then obviously when everything happened, we were like, okay, well, let's figure out the new norm of how to like kind of navigate through all of this. So we just kind of we realized we had all this time, so we really took our time with releasing it. So
It's great. It's a different approach, right? Maybe
yeah,
looking back on it, you'll be like, well, maybe there were some perks to quarantine.
yeah. I mean, we were doing, or I was doing, like live streams every like once a week for a hot minute, and that was really fun because it was different to kind of be able to communicate one on one with people like in the comments, and if they were just kind of chiming in saying stuff, I could just like immediately just kind of talk to them or just kind of ramble and um, just it was different than like when you're on stage, you have a certain amount of time to play your set, so you don't want to just ramble and say kind of stupid stuff. You want to play your songs. So it was a little bit more personal, and that was really nice. I felt like we were able to kind of connect with fans and just random people that stumble upon it in a different way than we could if we were to just play the show and then that was it.
Yeah, different vibe for sure.
Mhm.
Where can people find you online? What's the best website, social site?
Instagram, um, Twitter, Facebook, all of our music's on Spotify, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, all of the above, Apple Music, anywhere where there is music and is social media, we are on there. We don't have a band TikTok, but that would be maybe something we should look into.
Right? It's another
Yeah.
one of those things where people are like, well, you should try this and you should do that. And now it's like, maybe I actually will try that.
I mean, yeah, it's you're watching video, so it's pretty. I mean, you can be on there for 12 minutes to 2 hours, so you're just literally just scrolling and finding all these just random videos about just stuff that I've never even seen before. So
Yeah, lots of good stuff out there for sure.
yeah,
Um, Another random question that I actually just came up with in the past hour.
yeah.
I don't know how closely you follow politics, how, the music world and artists in general are being affected by the pandemic. And one of the 2020 presidential candidates, obviously no longer running, Andrew Yang, he was talking about, or he was tweeting and saying, like, I don't know how artists are making it right now. Streaming just isn't cutting it. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that and the upcoming stimulus bill that they're working on right now, if they could include something to help you guys out, what do you think it should include?
Yeah, streaming doesn't, you don't really see too much of it, especially if you're kind of a lower level, mid-level band. I don't really know how the money of that even works. I'm sure if you were like Ed Sheeran, I think he's like number one on Spotify, like always. I'm sure he's seeing some sort of percentage from all the plays that he's getting. Um, I know a lot of my friends would go and play wineries and kind of like parties and stuff like that, and that was a big way that they would make money. That was an extra like $500 to where they were able to go and kind of have groceries or pay their rent and whatnot. So I think just things like that, to where it's just musicians do rely so much on, even if it's just $100, $200, that's money that you didn't have that you had to take time off work for, and so there's all those kind of factors in it. So yeah, totally, just being able to compensate for the money that is lost for entertainment is weighing greatly on a lot of my friends. So
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it. But Twitter like really stimulates my mind these days.
yeah,
I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Or it's like it almost knows that it's somewhere in the recesses of my mind, and then all of a sudden it's the center of the conversation.
yeah,
Actually, I just, long story short, I got laid off last week, and I was like, how do I get through to, unemployment? Like, there's so many people calling and
yeah.
trying to get through. And some guy, some genius guy on Twitter was like, just call this number and press number one and number two. And I was like, that's not going to work. Like, there's hundreds of thousands of people. And I tried it two times, and I didn't get through. And then on the third time, it worked. So I was like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. I am a music teacher in Lompoc, actually, where I'm
Mm-hmm.
from. We just switched over to online, so I was still fortunate enough to like my. If anything, I actually make more money going back to like I was saying. When you do take off work, I had to take off a lot of work to go play shows and stuff like that, and to kind of be in LA. Um, so now it's just been kind of like I don't really have an excuse not to, not to do my lesson because it's just through a screen like this. They're just virtual lessons. So it's been great. I've been able to go anywhere. I can kind of still travel and just set out one day a week wherever we go and just kind of set up my laptop and just do lessons. So that's been really nice.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit more convenient, right?
No, yeah, totally. And it's still the same. I mean, yeah, we have trouble with lag, and sometimes it's hard to show a student like a chord or a scale that they're not quite getting. But I think if anything, it's made me a better teacher. But I have to just like articulate my words more, and I can't just kind of like just have them say, "Oh, look at my hands," and then kind of have them just go off that. I actually have to like teach it.
Takes a little bit more effort.
Yeah, yeah. This is a good thing.
Yeah, I did my first virtual birthday. I don't know, I guess people have been doing it for years, but I was like, I miss everyone. Let's try and get everyone together because, if people move, it was like that thing where, oh, so and so moved out of, the Bay Area, they're not going to make it kind of thing, but now it's like everyone can make
Yeah.
it. There's no reason not to make it, but
Yeah. Zoom's pretty Zoom's pretty great.
Zoom has been great. And I don't know, I've been coming up with some side business ideas. I've been doing a resume business for about 10 years. And then somebody was like, oh, yeah, can you train me like on fitness and nutrition and all of this stuff? And I was like, well, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah,
You know, maybe people are getting an opportunity to be their own, CEO or business owner or what have you.
yeah, totally.
So, a question for you. If you had the opportunity to open for any band after the pandemic, you entered a contest or through Noise Pop or whatever, and they're like, if you win this contest, you can open for so and so. Who would be your ideal top choice?
Um, I think right now, and it might surprise you, given I am like in a rock band, but I would love to open for Little Nas X.
Oh, say it one more time.
Little Nas X,
Oh,
he
okay. I've heard of him.
yeah, he had Old Town Road. So I love I love Little Nas X, and I think that'd be fun to.
No judgment whatsoever.
Yeah.
I was getting my hair done yesterday. You can't tell because it's up, but for hours and hours and hours. And the girl that was doing my hair, you get to know them. And we're talking about Eminem. We were talking about all kinds of things, but for some reason we started talking about Eminem. And I'm like, wow, that was 21 years ago.
Yeah.
But I think he's really talented and great. And a lot of festivals that I've been to over the past, 10 years or so, it's not just one genre anymore, like Outside Lands, like I don't know if you're familiar with Project Pabst, which
Yeah.
was around for a minute, but that was like what do you call it, like alternative rock, but then there was some hip hop acts, and then you name it, alternative, so I feel like a lot of music now is tries to cover every genre instead of, I'm sure you remember the Warp Tour, where it was
Mhm.
like you knew what you were getting with Warp Tour. But even with Warp Tour, I felt like you were kind of getting some different genres in there.
Yeah, definitely towards the end. I think everyone was just kind of adapting to wanting to make it eclectic to kind of pull from
Mhm.
every kind of group of music lover.
Yeah, I'm still missing it. The festivals. I think Outside Lands would be in like two weeks. Did you ever have a chance to?
No, I know a lot of friends that have, and I think my sister's gone once or twice, but yeah, Outside Lands always looked really kind of like a dream to just kind of even be at.
And Coachella?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, that would be a fun one to play. I know there's a lot of negativity surrounding it now, just because all the influencers get paid to go there, but it would still be fun to play.
Totally. Like even now, I was one of those people that would have my opinions about it. But with what's going on, I'm like, maybe I would spend the $500 and just go.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things that I just really took for granted, not really thinking like they would never be taken away, and here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, definitely. And me doing the radio show for about a decade. Actually, this year was the 10-year anniversary. I'd always tell people, like, buy the music, go to the shows, support the artist, because you never know what's going to happen, like, a pandemic, or you just want to keep the art alive. And unfortunately, in San Francisco, it's gotten harder and harder as, the years have gone by. It's a lot of the bands have moved out of state or disbanded, or, they're no longer based in San Francisco. There are
Totally.
some, but I don't know if you've heard that in Los Angeles, if you've noticed that happening at all.
I'm still relatively new to the scene. Last November was the first show that I played with the new lineup. They're all from LA, and they had been in numerous bands. So they were our first show. There was a bunch of people that came that knew them from doing other bands and check out the new project they were with. But no, I haven't really noticed anything quite like that yet. Like I said, I'm still kind of getting my feet wet and learning who's who.
Yeah, and maybe that's all going to change, right? Like maybe it doesn't
Yeah,
matter where you're from anymore.
yeah. I mean, where I'm from, so where I am right now, it's only just under 3 hours to get to LA.
Uh-huh.
So it's not. a terrible drive, and I'm used to making it. And to get to San Francisco, it's about I think 5. Yeah, so I'm kind of like right in the middle of everywhere. So it never really seemed like a problem being in a band to kind of like travel to go play a show. But now it's a lot easier, obviously, just being an LA based band, and so I spend half of my time in LA, half of my time in Lompoc.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go to every show, I swear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's what is your favorite venue to play in Los Angeles? If you don't
Um, I was really grateful to play the Satellite. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. They just recently closed down. So I was, I'd always wanted to play there. So I was at least very grateful that I had got one under my belt before um, they had kind of stopped. But had played this venue called Little Joy.
Mhm.
I believe it's in Echo Park. Um, and so far, we've played 2 shows there now, and that's probably been my favorite place to play. It's just a really small room, and once you kind of pack it full of people, there's just all this energy, and it's just really just one of those like really hot and sweaty shows where you just play, and it's just kind of yeah, it's those are kind of my favorite shows to play.
Yes. And as soon as I know that the radio station is open, we have a gallery slash performance space slash radio station that used to also have a cafe. Got rid of the cafe a few years ago, but as soon as we're back up and running there, it'd be great to have you guys and anybody that's just like, I need to play and I don't care where.
Yeah, yeah, we'd love to play there. It'd be our first San Francisco show with the new lineup, so that'd be great.
Yes. And it might have to be stripped down. I'm not sure what the requirements are. Sometimes it's okay if it's electric. Sometimes they prefer acoustic. We've kind of been going that route because we have neighbors that live up above us.
Yeah,
But we try and we're very inclusive, and I think that might be something that I want to do again because I didn't really do that for a while. I
yeah,
kind of
totally.
stopped.
I mean,
But
even if we strip down, that would be fun to do. It's a nice little like get to know the songs better if you strip it back like that. So
yes, and there's been so many bands that have come to our station over the years, and they're like, "How do we do it?" I mean, at first they're like, "Wait, what do you mean an acoustic version?" And then they figure it out. I don't know how they do it. Even if they're heavy metal, they're like, "We're totally down. Strip
yeah,
down."
I had to do that a bunch of the stuff doing the live streams. Actually, the song "Watch It Fall." I had never thought of playing that stripped down, and I realized when it was getting closer and closer to like release time that I should probably start playing that in our little Instagram live sessions. And I was like, okay, somehow like you just said, I literally figured it out in like at 10 minutes before I had to go and do it because I realized like I probably should start playing this and plugging it now. So
Awesome. Well, I hope that things improve for all of us. That's my wish, my hope. I'm not sure about Lompoc, but San Francisco has been on hold for about a month in terms of reopening.
yeah,
So I've just been I decided to come to Arizona because my mom lives here. Because I was like, I'm going crazy in my one room apartment.
totally, totally.
Um, so at least things are semi open here, but still I'm like, God, I miss the city.
Yeah, that was actually one reason why I did come back to Lompoc. Was being in Orange County. It's they're not doing so hot with wearing masks and being safe and whatnot. So coming back here, I was like, well, this is just so much easier because there isn't places are open and there is like kind of restrictions, but being down there, yeah, everything was closed. You couldn't go do anything. You couldn't really, even just like walking around, it felt like, well, no one's wearing masks. Like no one's doesn't seem like anyone's taking it serious. So it was nice to kind of get away from the big city.
Yes. So again, hopefully this is temporary. Hopefully, I think has it been 4 months? April, May, June, July.
I think so. Yeah, I've lost track, but I'll go with 4 months.
Yeah. So it's going a little bit longer than we expected, but you know, just bear with it. And it sounds like you're staying active. You're doing your music, so that's fantastic. And I'm sure everyone's trying to stay busy.
Yeah, yeah, just keeping busy as much as possible. Uh, just staying healthy.
That too. That too. I've been running circles in my mom's living room.
Yeah, I've luckily my parents have quite a big backyard, so it's just been nice to kind of go play with the dogs out there for a little bit, as opposed to being stuck in an apartment where you can only kind of go on your balcony. So it's been nice.
Definitely. Well, it was great to chat with you and find out more about what the band's been up to, The Only Ocean.
Yes.
And I'll be looking for you guys as soon as this is over.
Awesome. Thank you for talking.
Of course. And hopefully be seeing you guys in person sometime really
Yeah,
soon.
that'd be nice.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend
You too.
and have a good one.
All right. Sounds good. Bye.